Well, with the sun shining, it seems kind of counterproductive to be talking about heating and boilers. But of course, it's in reality, it's actually the best time because engineers aren't so busy and you really don't want to wait until the end of the summer when your tenant turns the boiler on for the first time and there's a problem. So now's a great time to be introducing, as an affiliate to Property Tribes, Heatable. And I'm joined by Sam. And Sam, we're very pleased to welcome you into Property Tribe's ecosystem of trusted suppliers of products and services. And essentially, Heatable is getting, you're for all homeowners and property owners, but you're really getting some traction with the landlord community. Tell us about the service you offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're aimed at generally, obviously, the domestic market. Naturally, landlords are probably the only repeat buyers that we get. So typically speaking, most people might only buy one boiler in their lifetime. Mm-hmm. Landlords they might buy one a year, they might buy even more. So the return customers we get from landlords makes them quite a unique customer base to us. The way we operate as well, obviously, does appeal to landlords in the fact we make it so easy. So it is all done online, survey, buying it online, the customer service, absolutely everything, start to finish. No additional surveys, no additional appointments, quotes, less to arrange with a tenant, which is all good for landlords. It minimises contact, kind of setting up times, all that, all reduced. So landlords, we found, we didn't make anything bespoke for landlords, but we naturally found they kind of gravitated towards us, and it's a little bit new to us, to be honest. So we're trying to get more involved in that now.
Indeed, hence the partnership with Property Tribes. So essentially, Heatable is an online way to order a new boiler. We'll talk about it in a little bit more detail. Are you able to liaise directly with the tenant to arrange for the engineer to attend to fit the new boiler? Is that facility available online as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So when any customer, including a landlord, goes through Heatable, they go from quotation to booking it. So the financials and the booking are all left to the landlord. Importantly, bill and address, obviously that's all separate and private to the landlord, including the documents after it. From the point of booking, we will take over it for the landlord. Mm-hmm. We can liaise directly with the tenant or through an agency, whichever they prefer. We'll usually just kind of speak to the landlord, touch base with them, confirm the order, and take over from that point. If they want us to speak to the tenant, happy to. Agency, happy to. So we've got a customer service team, despite it all being online, who will take over from that point and deal with it from start to finish.
Yeah, that's really, really useful. And I think one of the key things about Heatable is the speed that you can replace the boiler, because obviously with landlords having obligations to tenants, heating and hot water is one of the absolute critical things that tenants need, particularly, in the winter months, or if the tenant has, young children and things like that. Landlords have very strict obligations to attend to a heating or boiler issue as soon as possible. And you have a very quick turnaround time, don't you?
We do, yeah. We've got a nationwide network of engineers. So typically speaking, we can fit within 24 hours, which if you've got a fuming tenant in the winter, that's ideal. Every day goes by, you probably getting more abuse from an agency or a tenant. So yeah, usually most customers do check out between, say, 8 a.m. in the morning and up to midday. We'll probably get a next day installation for the tenant.
That's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think, surprisingly, landlords are very interested in boilers. You'd be surprised the kind of discussions that we have on Property Tribes with landlords that have very specific opinions about different brands and things. Now, are Heatable kind of whole of market to boilers, or do you have a small panel of boilers that you have, built up relationships with boiler manufacturers?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we do have a small core relationship with a few manufacturers, mainly Worcester Bosch, which pretty much everyone's heard of and generally regarded as the best. So we work a lot with Worcester Bosch, Wiesmann, which are a really popular new German model. Ideal boilers more recently, and alpha boilers as well, which are a little bit more in the kind of the budget end, but we do them with a 10-year warranty too. So generally that's a really popular package for landlords, particularly in winter in emergencies, to get like a well-priced boiler in with a long warranty. We'll probably add more to it as we go. Like you say, we do find landlords are a customer which unusually come to us with an element of education already from what they know about property, which is natural. That, if anything, just makes the process more easier. They pretty much know everything about the boiler that's already in the property, what boiler they want, and generally speaking, it makes them an easier customer to deal with as well, which is good for both sides.
Absolutely. And, we've got EPC regulations changing in the private rented sector. And one of the easiest ways to improve a property's EPC is indeed to upgrade to a new boiler, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good way to add value to a property. We get a lot of landlords who do it when a new tenant's going in, if they're selling the property, if they've just bought a property. So that's as well as breakdowns, which are huge over winter for landlords. We find if they're getting rid of a property, passing it on, selling it, or they've just bought one, that's a key time for landlords is when they purchase from ourselves as well.
What sort of warranties do you offer with your panel of boiler manufacturers?
Pretty much every boiler that we do is 10-year warranty, parts and labour. So we register it for the landlord too. They'll receive all the paperwork. It's all done via email now, so that's really easy. We've got an in-house team who look after the admin. They register it. Typically speaking, they're all 10 years now, parts and labour, because they're just really good quality boilers. Service needs to be done once a year, which again for landlords, you're well used to doing all that anyway. CP12s and whatnot, certificates that you need. Boiler service once a year, totally covered for parts and labour. If the boiler breaks down, manufacturer covers it. Worst case, if really unusual with new boilers, if it couldn't be fixed, you could get a new one, absolutely free.
Well, that's tremendous peace of mind to landlords to know that once they've had a new boiler fitted, because it is quite a significant expense, that they have got up to 10 years warranty and parts. You mentioned that landlords are repeat customers. Speaking for myself, I bought all new build, all within 2 years of each other, and now 18 years on, I'm finding that all my new build properties are coming up for new boilers. So I'm ending up being a very good client for any boiler company, because they've all come up within a similar time frame. And
yeah, definitely.
what would you say is the kind of average life of a boiler? Because you do hear of some that are still going after 30 years, but again, it's an issue that there may be difficulties with parts and things in that instance.
Yeah, that's true. When you hear about those boilers that are going on for 30 years now, generally speaking, the parts to repair them won't be available. Usually now, I mean, as a country, generally speaking, people don't look after the heating systems. Landlords probably more so, because they're invested in it. So getting the boiler serviced once a year, the average homeowner will lapse on that after a couple of years at best, if they ever do it at all. So if you take that into account, it's probably 10 to 15 years, the average lifespan. Depending on the boiler, obviously, there are lesser quality boilers out there. So yeah, probably 10 to 15 years, depend on whether servicing's upkept. So a guarantee for 10 years, that peace of mind, like you say, for a landlord is probably quite a big thing.
Yeah. I think, talking about price points as well, they can vary massively. I got a quote from British Gas and it was £3,500, and then I went and looked on Heatable for the same thing and it was £1,500. So it's well worth shopping around. Where do you think you sit in the price point scale?
Yeah, it's good. We hear that the customer service team does every day about, I mean, not going to kind of slander anyone on being recorded, but traditional companies have been getting away with charging whatever they want for a long time, really, with a lot of tie-ins, particularly bigger guys. What we've done is we work with the manufacturers more closely, the ones that we've mentioned. And generally speaking, we work on a reduced margin. So we're not looking to earn £1,000 margin in it, which some other companies may do. We work with a nationwide network of engineers that are readily available. We've got lower overheads. So in terms of quality, no one's losing out on absolutely anything. We've just managed to remodel what we do to pass on massive savings to customers. So.
Yeah, great. I mean, how long has Heatable been going, and how many boilers have you supplied?
We've been going since 2017. Generally speaking, we fit around 10,000 boilers a year.
Okay, that's really good to know. Very established business then. I think the other really positive thing about Heatable is that you can offer some finance options, and we know with cash flow for landlords it's so important, and if you have to pay for a boiler outright, that could be £1,500 plus VAT, one very large payment going out. But with Heatable, there you have a couple of different payment plan options as well to help spread the cost of a new boiler. And could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. When anyone's boiler breaks, particularly if you've got more than one, you're a landlord, it's usually a surprise, and not a lot of people have that cash to hand. So we've always offered finance. Since we started, we've had that on as an option on the website. It just seemed to go hand in hand. So we do, every single boiler is available on a finance package. There are basically, you can take it over. We've got a third-party finance company, so they offer finance between 1 and 10 years. And we've got selected boilers that you can take on interest-free credit over 2 years as well. Again, that doesn't come away from the online portal. It's all done online, all really easy. Deposits are optional, so it is super flexible.
Yeah, no, that's such a useful thing to assist landlords with their cash flow. So as we just kind of wind this up, Sam, what would be the landlord journey to order a new boiler through Heatable?
Just as easy as anyone else, to be honest. The only thing they would have to do different is provide a billing address if they had a different one. So it's full quotation online, choose a boiler, check out, choose an installation date. We'll liaise with the tenant beyond that if they wanted us to shuffle it at all. Full online checkout process, irrespective of how they're going to pay, whether it's finance or credit card, debit card, whatever it may be. From that point on, we'll take over it. We'll speak to the tenant, the agent, whatever we need to do until the boiler goes in. We'll even check in afterwards just to make sure everything went okay as well.
Okay, because it's a simple online form that landlords need to fill in. There may, I would imagine, because sometimes you have to have a survey done for a boiler, then there may be a few questions about, positioning of a flue or something like that. And a lot of that can be dealt with just uploading images, can't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier on, generally speaking, landlords are obviously more educated about property and boilers. So it's pretty unusual to get a landlord who can't answer all the simple questions that we've got on the website. In some unusual cases, where it might be a strange type of property or older boiler, we always get photos anyway if we can. It's not the end of the world if we can't. It just helps us to order materials. Landlords can send us photos beforehand if they've got kind of like slightly peculiar systems or questions. So that's always an option as well. But like I say, generally speaking, landlords know the property. They're our easiest customers, really.
And do you offer a choice of the different brands within Heatable, or do you kind of just put forward the best recommendation for based on what landlord, the data that the landlord inputted?
Yes, so there's always a choice. We always list. Some people have preferences on brand. If they've had a Worcester Bosch their whole life, they might want another Worcester Bosch. What we'll always do, though, is recommend a product based on what they've entered about the property and current boiler. So we'll have a kind of generally like, this is the ideal boiler for you. But there will be other selections as well. So if they had a preferred model or they wanted a bit more of a budget model, that they will be shown to. But yeah, just to make it that bit easier, we'll usually recommend a specific product.
That's fantastic. So in summary, landlords go on to Heatable, they fill out the details of the property that they need a new boiler for, they decide their payment options, they send through their order, and they make a note if they want the tenant to be contacted for access, or the letting agent, or they may be attending the installation themselves. So actually it couldn't be simpler, could it?
Yeah, that's what we tried to do. So yeah, it is that simple. Sometimes it sounds too good to be true. We get a lot of phone calls from landlords asking that question. It is that simple, and we will take over the process entirely for them. So.
Well, Sam, we're absolutely delighted to be acting as an affiliate and introducer to Heatable. And just in the interests of transparency, whoever orders a boiler via Property Tribes, we will receive a small commission from Heatable for making the introduction. And hopefully our members will want to support this, because it's our affiliates and our sponsors and partners who help maintain Property Tribes as a free to use community resource. So please do use our products and services if you can. And Sam, hopefully you can join the Property Tribes community and perhaps join any of our discussions about boilers, because we've actually got a massive one going on at the moment about boilers being banned in when is it 2020?
Yeah.
You're not particularly worried about that though, are you?
It's good for the planet, and it's a good thing. Eventually, obviously, as a company, we've got a goal to go green and basically take this model for renewable energy. It's still a few years off, and there's still an incredible amount of gas boilers in the country that will just need replacing before the infrastructure is there to allow for the other things, whether it's hydrogen or heat pumps. I think it's going to take a long time to get to a point where they are really readily accessible and affordable. So we will, for now, keep doing what we're doing. We've got high efficiency boilers, only A-rated boilers. But yeah, the long-term goal for, I suppose, the country, planet, and us is renewables. But for now, we'll be cracking on doing what we're doing.
Well, it's awesome to have Heatable as part of the tribe, and we look forward to working with you. And we're so glad that you've got this amazing turnaround service for landlords to get new boilers fitted. So for now, Sam, thank you very much. But we'll probably catch up with you again in the future, and we can chat some more. But for now, welcome to the tribe, and everybody go and check out Heatable. And if you need a new boiler, please do click on the link we'll provide and go through the process.